Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's this system for, like, managing web browsers
Okay.
for, like, automated testing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's start with the driver class.
Okay.
That's, like, the heart of everything.
Yeah.
It's responsible for, like,
Yeah.
creating the browsers,
Right.
managing the instances that are used during the tests.
It's like a control center. Right. That makes sure each test
Okay.
gets its own browser to work with.
Gotcha.
And that prevents conflicts.
Oh, okay.
You can think of it like a librarian
Okay.
that fetches the right book, our web browser.
Right.
For each reader, our automated tests.
Okay, so the driver class is our librarian.
Exactly.
Okay, what about this logger we see in the code?
Oh, yeah.
Is that like the library's security cameras?
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
It keeps a record of everything that happens, like a detective's notepad.
Okay.
It keeps track of each action and event.
Oh, wow.
And that's super helpful for when you need to figure out why a test failed.
So no more guessing games when tests go wrong.
Nope.
Nice. Okay, what about this thread local thing?
Oh,
It sounds pretty technical.
yeah, thread local is a clever way to make sure that each test,
Okay.
even if they're running at the same time,
Yeah.
gets its own separate browser instance.
Okay.
So it prevents tests from interfering with each other.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like giving each student...
Okay. Their own private workspace in a classroom.
I see. So it's all about keeping things tidy and organized.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about this private constructor in the driver class.
Okay.
What's the deal with that?
Okay. That's a subtle but important design choice.
Okay.
It basically says, hey, you can't just create instances of this class directly.
Okay.
It forces us to use the driver class
Okay.
in a specific way.
Right.
Through its static methods.
Why would we want to restrict how the class is used?
Well,
It seems like adding extra rules for no reason.
it's all about control and predictability.
Okay.
By restricting direct access,
Okay.
the creators are making sure that the driver class is used in a consistent way,
Right.
the way it's intended.
Okay.
This makes the code more robust and less prone to errors.
Okay, now let's zoom in on the getDriver method.
All right.
This is where a browser actually gets assigned to a test, right? This method is the entry point for any test that needs a browser
Gotcha.
to run. It's like the librarian checking out a book
Right.
to a reader.
Yeah.
But before they hand over the book, they need to follow a certain process.
Okay, walk me through it.
Sure.
What's the first step?
So the first line of code,
Okay.
if driverpool.get,
Right.
well, checks to see whether the current test already has a browser assigned to it.
Gotcha.
It's like the librarian looking to see if the desk is already occupied.
Oh, so it's a simple check
Yeah.
to avoid assigning multiple browsers to the same test.
Exactly.
Okay, what happens if the desk is empty?
Well, if the desk is empty,
Meaning there's no browser assigned.
right, then the getDriver method goes to the next step,
Okay.
which is reading the configuration.
Okay.
And this configuration is usually stored in a file,
Right.
and it specifies which browser to use for the test,
Is
like
it?
Chrome, Firefox, or something else.
So the configuration is like a reservation list.
Right.
Telling the system what kind of table exactly
Yeah,
the test requested.
exactly.
Okay, what happens after the configuration is read?
Okay, next comes the BrowserType Enum.
Okay.
And this enum is basically
Yeah.
a predefined list of available browsers,
Okay.
like a menu in a restaurant.
Okay, so the browser type enum is our menu of browser choices.
Exactly.
What role does it play in the getDriver method?
So the line browser type from string browser
Okay.
takes the browser name from the configuration,
Okay.
which is just a string like Chrome,
Mm-hmm.
and it matches it to the corresponding browser type.
So it's like the waiter taking your order
Yeah,
and finding the matching dish on the menu.
exactly.
Okay, what happens once the right browser type is identified?
That's when the driverpool.set browsertype.createDriver
Yeah.
line comes in,
Okay.
and it calls the createDriver method of the selected browser type to actually initialize a new WebDriver.
Ah, so this is where the new browser window is actually created.
Exactly.
Either visible or running in the background.
Precise.
Cool. And just like a good librarian keeps a record of borrowed books,
Right.
what's the final step in this getDriver method?
The last line, return driverpool.get,
Okay.
returns the newly created browser instance to the test,
Okay.
ready to be used
Got it.
for all sorts of automated tasks.
So the getDriver method is all about setting the stage
Yes.
for our tests
Yeah.
by fetching and configuring the right browser.
Exactly.
But what happens when a test is finished?
Yeah.
Do those browser windows just stay open forever?
That's where the close-driver method comes in.
Okay.
It's called at the end of each test.
Okay.
To shut down the browser properly, freeing up resources and preventing conflicts with any subsequent tests.
It's like returning your book to the library.
Yeah.
And making sure your desk is clean for the next person.
Exactly.
This closed driver method seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're right.
Okay.
While it seems simple, closed driver plays a really important role in resource management.
Okay.
We'll dive deeper into its inner workings in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I'm curious to learn more about this BrowserType Enum and how it fits into all of this.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great place to pick up when we return.
Absolutely.
Let's dig into that BrowserType Enum. It's like a menu of browser options.
Yeah, like having a nice menu.
Right.
Instead of just a jumbled mess.
Exactly.
It makes it so much easier to manage.
Right. And to add new options.
Yeah.
Without getting everything all messed up.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about Chrome and Chrome Headless.
Okay.
These are two pretty popular choices, right?
Yeah. They are.
So Chrome is the regular browser that we all know and love.
Yeah.
But what exactly is Chrome Headless?
So imagine you're ordering food.
Okay.
Chrome is like dining in.
Yeah.
You see everything happening. The food being prepared.
Right.
Presentation.
Okay.
Chrome Headless is like ordering takeout.
Gotcha.
You still get the food.
Right.
But you don't see the preparation.
Right. It's all happening behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that analogy.
So let's see how these options are implemented in the code.
For Chrome, we have WebDriver Manager.ChromeDriver.Setup.
Okay, so this line seems to be doing something with the Chrome driver.
Yeah.
What's WebDriver Manager all about?
So WebDriver Manager is a really cool tool that manages the drivers needed for different browsers.
Yep.
It makes sure that you always have the latest Chrome driver.
Oh, nice.
So you don't have to download and update it yourself.
That's super convenient.
Yeah.
Okay, so WebDriver Manager takes care of all that.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
So then the next line is return new Chrome driver.
Okay.
That's where the actual Chrome browser instance is created.
It's like the chef saying, all right, Chrome browser ready to serve.
Exact.
Now, how does setting up Chrome Headless differ from this?
For Chrome Headless, we start with this line, Chrome Options, new Chrome Options.
Okay.
And this creates a special Chrome Options object.
Okay.
Lets us customize how the headless Chrome browser acts.
So it's like adding specific instructions to your takeout order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like no onions or extra sauce.
Right.
So how do we tell the browser to run in headless mode?
We use options.addArguments, setless.
Okay.
And this tells Chrome to run without a visible window.
So it's like telling the restaurant, just make the order to go.
Right.
No need to set a table for me.
Exactly.
Okay, so once we have those options set up, what's next?
We have return new Chrome driver options.
Okay.
Which creates a new Chrome driver instance using those options.
So this is our headless Chrome browser ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, so far we've looked at the code for creating the browser instances.
Right.
But how does the BrowserType Enum know which option to choose?
That's where the from string method comes in.
Okay.
Remember we said that the BrowserType Enum was like a restaurant menu?
Yeah.
This method is like the waiter taking your order and making sure it's actually on the menu.
Okay, what if I ask for something that's not on the menu? Like a unicorn burger.
In that case,
the
from string method will throw an illegal argument exception.
Okay.
Which is the code's way of saying, sorry, we don't serve that here.
Gotcha. What about the created driver method?
Oh, yeah.
I notice it's in the BrowserType Enum.
So the created driver method is where each browser type really gets to do its thing.
Okay.
It's the method that actually sets up the browser instance based on its specific type.
Right.
It's like each chef having their own recipe, even if the basic ingredients are similar.
Okay, so like setting up a Chrome instance might involve different steps compared to setting up a Firefox instance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the created driver method handles those details.
Yes, it makes sure that each browser is configured correctly and ready to go.
Cool. So the BrowserType Enum is more than just a list of names.
Right.
It's a key part of setting up and initializing these browser instances.
Exactly.
It's like a central hub for managing the different browsers we can use in our tests.
I like that.
It's becoming clear how the driver class and the BrowserType Enum work together to form this powerful system for managing browsers. There's one more piece of this we need to examine to get the full picture.
Okay.
You're talking about the close driver method, right?
Yes.
We touched on it briefly.
Yeah.
But I'm eager to understand how it makes sure we clean up properly.
Okay.
And manage those resources.
You got it.
Yeah.
Let's shift our focus to the close driver method.
Okay.
And see how it completes this elegant system in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, so we're back and ready to tackle that last piece.
Yeah.
The close driver method.
It might seem simple at first.
Okay.
But it's actually super important
for
keeping our testing environment nice and tidy.
We talked about the driver class being like a librarian, right?
All right.
Managing those books are web browsers. For the readers are tests.
Exactly.
So is close driver like returning those books to the shelves?
Exactly. It makes sure that when a test is finished,
the
browser it was using is closed properly and that all the resources are released.
So it's like good housekeeping for our tests.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but why is this cleanup step so important?
Well,
couldn't we just let the browsers close automatically when the tests are done?
Well, yeah, in a perfect world, maybe.
Okay.
But leaving those browser instances open can cause problems.
Okay.
They use up memory and system resources.
Right.
They might even mess with other tests.
So it's like leaving dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
It might not be a big deal at first.
Right.
But eventually it creates a mess.
Exactly.
Okay, walk me through the close driver method. Okay. What's the first step?
The first line is if driver pool.get null.
Okay.
And that checks if there's a driver instance
right.
associated with the current thread.
So it's like making sure we're not trying to close a browser that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Okay, what happens if there is a driver instance to close?
Then we go in the next line, driverpool.get.quit, and that's where the magic happens.
Right.
The quit method is called.
Okay.
And that closes the browser window and ends all the processes.
Okay, that sounds pretty final.
It is.
Is there anything else that close driver needs to do?
Yes, one more step.
Okay.
Driverpool.remove.
Okay.
And this removes the driver instance from the pool.
Right.
So basically it frees up that slot.
Yeah.
For the next test that needs a browser.
It's like clearing the desk after the reader returns their book.
Exactly.
Everything is reset and ready to go.
Yep.
This whole system.
Yeah.
From creating the browsers to cleaning up is pretty impressive.
It's a good example of how thoughtful design can create a really efficient system by centralizing the browser management through the driver class and the BrowserType Enum.
Right.
We avoid so many headaches and we make our tests more reliable.
And the closed driver method is a big part of that.
Absolutely.
By making sure we're managing resources properly and preventing conflicts. We've decoded the driver class.
Yep.
Explored the BrowserType Enum, and uncovered the close driver method.
We did it.
Hopefully you've gained some insights into the world of automated testing and good software design.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.